Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. We have some big guests lined up for you tomorrow. We'll explain coming up here in a little bit. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, I did tease this last hour. Live report from the courtroom, if I can speak. New York Post reporter Emily Saul will be joining us. She is covering the Michael Avenatti case. I believe Michael Avenatti is in the courtroom as we speak. So we'll get a live report from her, figure out what's going on there in New York coming up here in just a little bit. I'm a big college basketball junkie, right? I'm a college basketball fan. I love basketball, and I'm going through the channels yesterday, and in-state rivalry game. There were some good college basketball games yesterday. Kansas State and Kansas. It was a live game. It was on ESPN yesterday, and Kansas was completely in control of this game for the most part, from start to finish. Bill Self, good basketball coach, and probably has the best hairpiece, the best rug in all of sports. So with that being said, Kansas is completely in control of this game. Completely. And the Jayhawks are just dribbling out the clock. I think if memory serves me right, they were up big. They were up like 22 points, something like that. And there's like 13 seconds to go. So it's kind of one of those unwritten rules in basketball. It happens in the NBA. It happens at the college level. Even happens at the high school level. If a team is up like 20 points and it's a blowout, and there's like 30 or 20 seconds to go, 99 out of 100 times, the defense will just allow them to dribble the ball out because the game is over, right? That's the normal recourse. That didn't happen last night. He was dribbling out the clock. The score was 81-60, the Jayhawks were. Silvio De Sousa had the basketball. This is a big kid. And he was stripped by one of the Kansas State players. DeJuan Gordon is his name. It happened at midcourt. Gordon steals the ball, and he tried to go up for a layup on the other end. And De Sousa made a good play. He blocked him. Okay, so nothing really wrong with that. You could make the argument that Kansas State's players shouldn't have stealed the ball. But whatever. Who cares? You won the game. You're up 20 points. Let it go. In fact, I'm surprised even De Sousa tried to block it. But he did. He made a good play. Here's where it went all wrong after that. Okay, right after he blocks the shot, he stands over Gordon, barking at him. That is a no-no in the world of sports. You don't stand over another player when he's on the ground. That is complete disrespect. It was completely unnecessary. That triggered both benches to empty into what amounted to be a rugby scrum. It was bad. And it reminded me a little bit of the Malice at the Palace because the fight went into the stands. Okay? Not only did it go into the stands, but it was in the handicap section. You know how every arena has like a handicap section where people, they might be in a wheelchair. It's the handicap section, right? This is where the fight broke out. And at one point, De Sousa picks up a stool and held it over his head. If that hits somebody, that's criminal. That's criminal. Something really bad could have happened. But as I said, both benches were cleared. This is just a disgusting situation. And I want to play you the live audio of the game on ESPN. Here is when the brawl breaks out. This was the live broadcast, and here's what it sounded like.
Oh, this is bad.
This is
No good. Oh, this is terrible.
There are going to be ramifications for this going forward.
And it's just no point to it.
Well, he's right. There was no point to it, and this is very serious. Now, I respect Dick Vitale a lot. In fact, Dick Vitale came on our show a few months ago. Great guy. We've learned that De Sousa has been suspended indefinitely. There's no chance he's going to play basketball again this year. There's no chance. Here's Dick Vitale, his reaction on ESPN to this brawl.
Well, just absolutely sickening, unbelievable. In 40 years on my TV, I haven't seen anything like that unless you go to the NBA and you look at the Pistons brawl that took place at the Palace. I think there's no doubt in my mind that De Sousa never, ever should put a uniform on again in college basketball.
I agree. This year is not enough. That kid should never be allowed to play college basketball again. If you are dumb enough to not only throw punches, okay, what he did before it got physical was a technical foul, at worst. He was standing over a player. Should never happen. Even if there was a little bit of pushing and shoving, it would have been a technical foul. Nobody would have gotten suspended. Then when the bench is cleared, he's the one who decided to throw the first punches, and then he picks up a chair. And thank God, and I mean thank God for the Jayhawks assistant coach who got in the middle of that scrum and helped reporter Emily Salt, I guess, diffuse the situation, make it less serious. But boy, was that a bad situation. I'm telling you, we're going to have one of these situations. I hope I'm wrong, but I think we're going to have a situation where a fan is going to get seriously injured. Something is going to happen in one of these brawls, and they don't happen very often, thank God. But something is going to happen where a fan is going to get seriously hurt. I mean, imagine if you had a fan in a wheelchair there who's handicapped, who's sitting in that section, who was hit by a chair and God forbid, lost his life. This kid De Sousa would go to jail for a very long time. The NCAA needs to throw the hammer down on this, and a 1-year suspension is not enough. His college basketball career should be over. I could not agree with Dick Vitale anymore. This is a serious situation. It can't happen in sports anywhere, certainly not in college basketball. This was the worst thing I've seen in basketball since the Ron Artest Malice at the Palace with the Detroit Pistons and the Indiana Pacers, and that was even worse. That was horrible because some fans got injured. That was terrible. And Bill Self. You know, I saw the jokes on social media where, Bill Self is saying, he said that, well, we are responsible for this, and he made some general statements last night, and I heard some people saying, well, the biggest surprise in that fight yesterday is Bill Self's hairpiece stayed on his head. That was kind of funny. He also said, I also saw some social media postings in regards to Bill Self that said he pays players to play basketball. He shouldn't pay players to fight. That's kind of a knock on Bill Self because we all know he's cheated to recruit. This is really bad, folks. This is beyond sports, and this is beyond basketball. We had a situation at a UNLV game a few weeks ago. UNLV was playing San Jose State. I was at the Thomas and Mack Center. It's just like a week and a half ago. And one of the players went into the stands because he was being hazed by some fans. Imagine if somebody threw a punch there. Would have been the same thing. People would have gotten seriously hurt. What happened to that player? To my understanding, he wasn't even suspended. If you're the head coach of San Jose State and you have one of your players that goes into the fans, I don't care what that fan says. I shouldn't say I don't care, but that fan could threaten your life, call you the N-word, and it would be awful, and that fan should be ejected and never be allowed to be back in that arena. With that being said, that does not give a student-athlete a right to go into the stands and be violent. I personally believe that if a player leaves the bench and goes into the arena in any way, shape, or form and addresses fans, they should be suspended minimum a year. And that's without physical violence or anything like that happening. This kid, De Sousa, should never be allowed to play college basketball again. And I want to know what you guys think about this because I have some pretty strong opinions on this. I believe if you are a professional or even a college basketball player, it is your responsibility to ignore the fans, as annoying as they can be from time to time. It is your responsibility to keep your cool, especially if you're a professional. If a college basketball player or a pro goes into the stands for any reason, you think they should be allowed to play basketball for the remainder of that year? For example, if you're at a Lakers game, and God forbid, I hope this doesn't happen, but if some idiot in the stands, some racist buffoon, calls a player the N-word, calls LeBron James the N-word, which would be an awful thing to do, I hope it never happens, and I would support that fan being banned for life from that arena. But let's just say hypothetically that does happen. Does that give LeBron James the right to go into the stands and throw a punch or be physical or even go into the stands for that matter? Are you okay with that? Because I'm not. It is a professional athlete's responsibility to keep their cool under any circumstance. Tell the officials, tell your teammates, tell the coach. And I think it applies to college basketball too. And the reason why I say that is for this reason. People are going to get hurt. I don't want anybody getting hurt. Innocent people are going to get hurt. It's what happened in the Malice at the Palace. Do you remember that? Ron Artest punched the wrong guy who didn't throw the water bottle or the cup of beer at him. Innocent people are getting... I don't want innocent people getting hurt. Now, would I feel bad if somebody called LeBron the N-word and LeBron knocked him out on the street? Absolutely not. I wouldn't feel bad for that guy. But innocent people can get hurt. So I pose this question to all of you. And we're talking about this brawl that took place last night, Kansas State. What do you think should happen to these players that started this fight? Are you okay with a college basketball player or a professional athlete going into the stands, and under what circumstances? What punishment do you think there should be for a college athlete or a pro for going into the stands? What circumstances do you think could defend something like that? The number to call, 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of this conversation, that is 702-257-5396. I'm going to be very consistent on this, and I know there's going to be a lot of people that, well, maybe not a lot of people, but some people that are going to disagree with me on this. I don't think Silvio De Sousa, what he did last night at the Kansas State game, I don't think Silvio De Sousa should ever be allowed to play college basketball ever again for anybody. He has lost that privilege. 150%, he should never be allowed again. The second you decide to throw punches and pick up a chair is the second you should never be allowed to be a D1 college basketball player. Now, I also wonder, and I wonder if Zion Williamson would never have done something like that. He's too smart. But I wonder if it was somebody at his level, if they would have put the clamps down on him. I don't know, because this is a business. While some of these kids, the majority of these kids are not making money, I think some of them are. We can debate that. College basketball is about money. It's about money for the university. It's about money for the staff. It is about money and sponsorships and ratings. The NCAA, they don't want to talk about money. That's what this is about. This is about money. And Silvio De Sousa, while he's a good basketball player, he's not the number one draft pick. He's not a first-round draft pick. He is done. Maybe that kid will get an opportunity to play pro ball in Europe at some point, and I'm going to be totally fine with that. But he should never be allowed to be a college basketball player ever again. That's it. Done. Saying that he is suspended indefinitely, well, what does that mean? It means they can reinstate him next year. That's not enough. He should be done. And the NCAA should put down the clamps and say he is not allowed to be a Division I college athlete or a college athlete ever again. Period. End of story. Now, there should be ramifications for others that were involved, but he was the one who started this. He's the one that threw the punches. He's the one that picked up a chair. He needs to go. Silvio De Sousa, goodbye. You should never be allowed to be a college basketball player again. You just ruined your college career in a nutshell. Period. End of story. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. So there's always some fun stuff to talk about when it comes to O.J. Simpson, right? Mr. Double Murderer. And we're going to get to that coming up next. O.J. Simpson commenting on Derek Jeter. And you're not going to believe the verbiage that he used. We'll talk about that coming up next. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDOM.